The 2025 Formula One season has taken a fiery turn, not on the track, but in the court of perception. Max Verstappen, a driver renowned for walking the razor's edge between genius and recklessness, is now sitting just one penalty point away from a mandatory one-race ban. After a dramatic wheel-banging clash with George Russell at the Spanish Grand Prix, Verstappen was handed 3 penalty points, bringing his 12-month total to 11. One more infraction, however minor, could force the Red Bull ace to sit out a Grand Prix. And in a title fight, he's already trailing by nearly 50 points. That could be catastrophic. But what followed after the steward's decision has ignited a firestorm. Russell publicly claimed that a ban wouldn't be unjust, calling out Verstappen's driving as reckless. Yet others, including 1997 World Champion Jacques Villeneuve, see something far more sinister: a clear bias from the FIA and a troubling inconsistency in how rules are applied. This isn't just about one incident. It could redefine how Formula One polices its elite. Before we dive deep into this explosive controversy, make sure you hit subscribe, because the politics of F1 are just as fast and furious as the cars themselves, and this channel brings you the full picture. Let's break this down. Let's begin with the collision that's ignited a firestorm. In the late stages of the Spanish Grand Prix, Verstappen and Russell were embroiled in a tight battle for P4. Verstappen, under increasing pressure, was driving with his trademark intensity, calculated aggression dancing on the edge of chaos. On the run down to turn 1, Russell went for a move on the inside. The two cars touched, and Verstappen was forced into the runoff. Yet, crucially, he rejoined the circuit ahead. Red Bull, acknowledging the circumstances, instructed Verstappen to yield the position to avoid a harsher penalty. It looked like Max would comply on the approach to turn 5. But then, things took a sharp turn. Just as Russell moved to complete the pass around the outside, Verstappen suddenly got back on the throttle. The result? Another wheel-to-wheel impact, this time sending ripples not only through the chassis of both cars, but through the entire Formula One community. The stewards acted swiftly, slapping Verstappen with a 10-second time penalty and, more significantly, 3 super license penalty points. That puts his total at 11. The danger is very real now. One more point and Verstappen will receive a one-race ban. To put this in perspective, only one driver has ever received such a ban since the current penalty point system was introduced: Kevin Magnussen, sidelined for the 2024 Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Verstappen could become the second. But is this punishment in line with the infraction? Or is it a signal that the FIA is scrutinizing Verstappen more harshly than others? George Russell, the man at the center of the incident, has made his stance clear. If he gets to 12 points, a ban wouldn't be unjust. For Russell, this is a matter of principle. Reckless driving, he says, has consequences. The rules are known. The system is transparent. You play with fire, and eventually you get burned. But others in the paddock and many in the fan base see this very differently. 1997 World Champion Jacques Villeneuve has come out swinging, claiming that Russell himself deserved a penalty for his initial contact with Verstappen at turn 1. According to Villeneuve, the Mercedes driver hit Max on the rear wheel, an act that should be classified as forcing another car off the track. Yet Russell walked away from the incident penalty-free, while Verstappen was hit with the harshest ruling available short of a race ban. And this, right here, is the beating heart of the controversy. Is the FIA applying its own rules consistently, or are they selectively enforcing penalties based on driver profiles, recent history, or political convenience? Let's examine Verstappen's season for a moment. For the first time in years, he's not driving the dominant car. Red Bull's advantage has faded and Oscar Piastri has stepped up in the McLaren with surgical precision, now leading the championship by a commanding 49 points. Verstappen's frustration is evident, not just in his radio messages, but in his on-track demeanour. When a driver who once controlled races from the front is suddenly forced to scrap for P4, instincts sharpen, elbows go out, and risks are taken. Some may call it desperation. Others might see it as the return of the old Max, the uncompromising gladiator who climbed to the top by refusing to back down. But it's precisely that style which now threatens to sideline him. Russell, to his credit, acknowledged that Verstappen wasn't trying to intentionally crash into him. "He wanted to scare me," Russell explained, "but he misjudged it." That may seem like a minor distinction, but in the eyes of the stewards, misjudgment at this level, especially with prior infractions in play, still counts as reckless, and the penalty points confirm it. However, one has to ask, if intent doesn't matter and only outcome does, why was Russell not penalised for the initial contact that forced Verstappen off track? Why were similar incidents, like the whack Verstappen received from Charles Leclerc on the main straight, also left unpunished? This is where the perception of FIA bias takes root. Inconsistent officiating has long plagued Formula One. From the fallout of Abu Dhabi 2021 to last year's track limit farce in Austria, fans and teams alike have voiced frustrations. And now, with Verstappen on the verge of a ban, the stakes are higher than ever. Some believe the FIA is trying to send a message, particularly to Verstappen, that no one is above the law. But others argue that this heavy-handedness only exists because of who Verstappen is. A dominant figure with a polarizing legacy and a reputation that precedes him. Even Verstappen's response to the incident has fueled debate. While he didn't apologize to Russell publicly, he admitted the move wasn't right and reportedly apologized to the RedBull team behind closed doors. That's a rare admission from a driver often portrayed as unflinching. Russell, surprisingly, welcomed the gesture. "I was a bit surprised," he said. "His actions cost him and benefited me, so I should be thanking him." Meanwhile, Christian Horner and the RedBull camp have maintained a low profile on the matter. Perhaps they're waiting to see what unfolds in Canada, where the walls are close, the braking zones are unforgiving, and the weather is always a wild card. Verstappen returns to Montreal hunting for redemption and a fourth consecutive win at the Circuit Jacques Villeneuve. But above all else, he'll be hunting for a clean race. No incidents, no grey areas, no penalties. Because 1 point, just one, could redefine this championship. So here's the question. Is Verstappen being judged more harshly because of who he is? Or is this the moment the FIA finally draws the line between hard racing and reckless ambition? Let us know what you think in the comments. And stay tuned, because if Max Verstappen slips up once more in Canada or Austria, the championship might not just be lost. It could be decided in the steward's room, not on the track.